Welcome to Practical Shooting After Dark. We're here to talk about shooting. You guys know the deal. On deck tonight, Mr. Joel.
Hello.
And Mr. Kim.
Hi.
So we're here to, well, you guys know the deal. Everybody's going to come here with a topic. Maybe we'll take some questions, do that sort of thing. Who'd like to go first with their topic?
Ben, you said you have a bang-up topic. I want to hear about it.
It's not really a bang-up topic. It's something it's okay. It's something I've been seeing a lot in classes, like frequently. So we have a lot of people shooting dots, you know.
Mhm.
So kind of what I'm seeing in courses is a lot of it's kind of mostly production guns. That's what I see. And like some people are shooting carry optics, some people are shooting production. So it's like they throw a dot on there, they're in carry optics, if not production. And with a lot more people shooting dots, I have been seeing very, very commonly, even with people who are relatively high level, they're looking at the dot itself when they're shooting instead of looking at the target, and it is very apparent. It's usually when they perceive the shooting as difficult is when they're gonna flip their focus onto the dot itself. Mr. Kim, what bad things might that cause?
Oh, that's gonna take a longer time to shoot because there's a now focal depth change, and yeah, basically you're not maximizing the use of red dot. Changing
Exactly
the focal depth. Yes.
Yeah,
Well-
turning into an iron sight.
Well, and then the thing that I keep seeing is if the shooting gets precise. So if people perceive the shooting as difficult, like they're shooting at distance, then they're going to start hitting up higher and higher because they start looking at the dot and not returning the dot exactly to where their aim point is. Or if they're shooting while they're moving, they start looking at the dot and then they're dragging shots off of targets because they're not continually referencing the aim point on the target. They're just looking at the dot itself. So that's usually how it gets spotted. What is the solution, Mr. Kim, for this problem?
Yeah, target focus.
Target focus, yes, and then having people turn down their dot to like an unrealistically low, where it's hard for them to see it. It can help mitigate it, and then they can start training on it and train it away. But it's been really common lately. I've been seeing it a lot, so it kind of bears mentioning.
Is it guys that are just switching to the dot? You think because it's like production optics or carry optics getting new? No. Okay.
Honestly, it's people that have, like, it might be people who've been shooting for 3 years and shooting a dot the whole time, and maybe they're
Wow.
in A class or something. Like in those cases, it's not new people. It's people that you would think would know better. So I think we basically have a lot of new people that are newish, like people have come into the sport shooting carry optics and gotten pretty good at it. But this issue's been going on and they're not really seeing it. You know what I mean? It's kind of holding them back.
I had to go through a process when I switched from production to carry optics to program, only go 100% target focus. Basically what I did is I just put a bunch of targets here and there and then place a gun on one target, and my vision goes to the next target, and I will change my focal depth to see the alphabet A perforation very clear. And then I will slowly bring the gun, the red dot, to the A, but maintaining the clarity on the alphabet A rather than focal depth changing back and forth. So I would do like very controlled slow speed, look at that spot, perforation, bring the dot, look at the next target, perforation, bring the dot in a very slow manner to retrain my brain. That really helped me to go 100% target focus with the red dots.
Well, see, there was my bang up topic, Joel. What did you think about that?
I like it. No, that's interesting. I'm too much of a perfectionist with the dot. I want to make it perfect every time.
Well, I mean, it'd be exactly the same thing. I said, where you'd have to learn to sort of paint the center of the target with the dot and just like, fuck it, like let it go with that. All right,
Makes
Mr.
sense.
Joel, what do you got?
I guess I'll just talk about this week in shooting, my current training. So, I mean, there was kind of uncertainty, of course, with COVID and stuff in matches. So I've been just trying to basically break the rules a lot in training lately. So I'll give you an example. I shot Accelerator, I don't know, maybe 200-300 rounds on Sunday, and I started going hard on it pretty much right off the bat. I mean, conventional wisdom is, just people that would be familiar, you've got a target at 7, 15, and 25 yards. So maybe you hammer the first 2 targets, pretty aggressively, and Matt's joining, and you slow down for the far target. Hi, Matt.
I meant
Hi.
You need to back.
Matthew.
You need to back up whatever you have on that computer immediately. By the way, because if it blue screened, it will be a paperweight soon. So while I'm rambling, if there's anything on that computer you really, really need,
Oh no,
Now-
I'm good.
now is the time to like cloud storage or a thumb drive.
Yeah.
Well, I sure do wonder how long Matt's going to be here.
No,
Should we take a bet on that?
I don't think till the
Down
end.
for that.
We'll see.
Okay. So anyway, breaking the rules. So conventional wisdom accelerator, you're going to shoot the first 2 targets kind of aggressively and slow down on the last one. Well, for that particular day, if I grip the gun properly and very, very hard with my support hand, I was shooting them all at more or less pretty aggressively, like maybe faster than in my brain thought I should have been shooting the far target, and I was still getting A's. Like I was getting like 1 C per run, railing on them extremely hard. And
What
normally
was your focal point?
I was completely target focused the whole time, and my whole goal was just transition. So make sure I transition the gun to the proper spot, and once it gets there, just send it as hard as I can. Was basically my my thought process when I did it. And then the draw and reload, I didn't think about. That just happens.
Yeah. So you broke the rules in that you weren't aiming super hard in the back.
Yeah, on the 25, because normally, normally I would, if you watch somebody shoot, you're like, oh, you need to slow down a little bit for that target. It's kind of conventional wisdom, right? Well, I was
Yes.
shooting them all at the same speed. Or I was shooting plates 2 weekends ago, I guess. And I had it was 10-inch plate at, I don't know, it's probably 25 yards, something like that. And I was going to shoot each steel plate twice before I moved on the paper for whatever I was doing. And I was just the same deal, hitting that one as hard as I could twice and not really letting the gun return, but just firing a fast pair, gripping the gun properly. And I mean, in a lot of cases, I've been getting hits that I wouldn't think I should be getting, but it's very repeatable. I just keep doing it over and over. So it's like, oh, okay, that's interesting. That's something new. Maybe I want to start, shooting that way. So anyway, if you don't have matches coming up for a while, I think it's good just to break the rules and maybe do things that you don't think you're supposed to be doing, like I would say in quotes, and see what you can get away with, because you might learn something, and especially if you don't have a match for a while, that's a good time to grow and try new things.
You're so positive, Joel. It's relentless.
If I get the gist of the question, that's when you got to push speed.
No, it wasn't a question. This is our topics, Matt.
Oh,
No,
you were talking about your Instagram accelerator video.
yeah, dude. That
Dude,
was
that
like
thing
one.
was- I don't know what your hits were, but
Matt, we're on to episode 101 now.
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, if you watch the dirt on those, like where the bullets are going, like on the far target, they're almost hitting right next to each other. Which
It looked awesome.
if I'd normally watch somebody shoot, I'd be like, he's not aiming at the last target. Yeah, I had like 1 C per run on average. I was doing it back to back. Maybe it was just that day. I mean, whatever. But gripping the gun properly and sending it hard. So, this Matt guy's training, and I want to keep up with him. So, if I want to beat Hopkins, I gotta be on the
You're gonna
ball.
have to add 14 extra rounds to your mags.
And JB Weld on a red dot.
Yeah, however you want to do it.
okay.
Fair
I can
enough.
go now.
You sure can.
Yes. So I had some fun conversation with my friend who has a military, like law enforcement kind of background. So he was talking about the stage designs, how it's changing now. Obviously, from like 90s, 80s stage versus nowadays is very different. But he added some comments like what the stage should evolve into a little bit more. Is he was saying shooting on the move and 3D partial. So shooting on the move, there's a lot of like military law enforcement or like, I don't know, personal protection, like tactical, civilian tactical, what is that, Timmy situation?
Timmy situation, yes.
Yes. So shooting on the move is very likely, he was saying, and also very target focused type of a shooting, but where there's 3D partial. When I say 3D partial, it's basically like a no shoot not stapled on the same target stick, but there's a brown target and no shoot somewhere in front. So at one angle, you can't see the target. One angle, you can see the target clear kind of thing. So I thought that was a pretty interesting idea, having more shooting on the move opportunity. Of course, shooting on the move is an option. You can't really force somebody to shoot on the move. You can always shoot stop, or shoot on the move on a certain scenario, because there's no rule to enforce you to shoot on the move in USPSA. But having more opportunity will definitely a little bit give edge to another person. But having like 3D partial around the target you are shooting on the move is going to be making it kind of difficult, because if you shoot on the move too fast, now the partial is blocking because of the angle.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to control how far of a step you have to step, or if the target is further away, you might not want to, bump too harshly on your foot kind of thing. So I thought that idea was pretty good to see more in shooting competitions. So shooting on the move opportunity on 3D partial targets. So it doesn't have to be no shoot. It could be a barrel. It could be a port, something like that. Yeah.
All right.
You think that's going to be hard to set up, though, with the matches and the propensity of shooters to claim that wasn't their hit through the no-shoot, or that hit should count because I fired an extra or something like that?
Yes, that can be a potential issue.
It was 3D no-shoots were common for a long time here, like at our local matches, and they at area matches as well at the same range, like section and area matches.
Yeah.
And it was fine. It was good. Yes, Matt, sometimes you had those issues where you have to, like the ROs have to really check the no-shoots, have to take a look at
100%. And watch, not just the gun, like watch what's being shot.
Yeah, we watch what's going on. All right. Well, Matt, we've all just discussed stuff. If you don't have anything, that's fine. We've got some questions we're happy to throw out there for you.
I had thought of something, but I forgot what it was now.
Perfect. All right. So we'll do a couple questions. The first one, I'll just cut right to it. The world wants to know if and how you are keeping your magazines weighted to replicate real magazines. Are you using weighted 3D printed magazines?
Sounds expensive.
Or are you just stacking them with dummy rounds? If you stack them, how do you prevent the rounds from popping out when they hit the floor? That's the core of this question here. What do you think? Are we all just on the dummy round train?
Yeah. So
that's the only way to do it.
It's funny you should mention that. I have in my hot little hands here on my computer desk. I don't want to say the brand name because I don't really like it, but it's an orange. It looks like a follower. And you put it on top of the magazine, and it's supposed to like keep the rounds inside the magazine and not cause the slide to lock open. I think you can do like malfunction clearances or something, maybe 2. But I tried this thing for maybe 2 minutes and put it back in the bag and put it back on my desk. The problem is, for me, this changed the way the magazines lock in the gun, and it took the pressure off. So when I was seating a magazine full of ammunition, it didn't feel the same because there wasn't that pressure pushing up from the rounds against the slide stop and against the underside of the slide. So I mean, like I'm guessing it's the same answer you guys are all going to say. I use dedicated dry fire magazines. So I have live fire, match magazines, and practice magazines, and then I have dry fire magazines. So a match magazine's a good one. A practice magazine's a maybe okay magazine. And a dry fire magazine is something that's garbage that I don't even want to practice with. And then I just have a couple of them, and I keep them loaded with dummy rounds, which is no powder, no primer, just a bullet and empty case. Load them to capacity, have the proper base plate on them, and then they just stay loaded. And they feel exactly the same way they'll feel in competition. So when I'm doing my dry training, I'm simulating actual competition the best I can.
Fantastic.
Is that fair?
Well, I just use dummy rounds, and I do have some 40 dummy rounds I put at the top of like production 9mm magazines, and those, it seems to be a bit better and keep things in there, but I don't really mind if a round pops out occasionally. So maybe we just haven't thought about this problem that much, huh? No. All right. Well, let's go on to another question. And this one's actually quite interesting. Given the current state of shooting, if your gear and experience were not a factor, you were a brand new shooter starting his first day of USPSA participation tomorrow, would you be shooting your current division or would you shoot something else? I guess just what division would you shoot is the best way to ask it. It could be interesting to hear the reasoning you and some of the guys in which division is most appealing for now and in the near future, given the emergence of CL, PCC, and the changes of production. Would the rookie versions of yourselves would make different decisions today than they did back when you all started?
That's an interesting question.
It is an interesting question.
Kim, what about you? Let's start with Kim.
Yes.
Because you've changed since from your 1911 to a Walther with a red dot on it.
I wouldn't do that. If I start again, I wouldn't shoot single stack. So I would not recommend any major power factor gun or what I would like to start in is actually limited minor. Major rounds are typically like you can't really get tailored power factor ammo on your local gun shop. Typically, major rounds are way hotter, and obviously open gun you can't really get them unless you order it from online, which you may not know that information. I didn't know that there is power factor thing existing in the first place. So major is not. However, I like the idea of not needing to reload every single time. And if I have 10 rounds, I may do a lot of standing reloads because I don't really know about the planning behind it. I might not do the walkthrough. I'll just look at somebody and try to follow that kind of thing. So I think having enough rounds and also limited division is pretty, forgiving in terms of gun rules. So if you have something weird attached to your gun, it's going to be good. You can place mag pouch anywhere. So I think it's overall like you don't have to reload as much, a little bit less gun handling. So that's something I start with. I don't want to start on carry optics or any red dot division because I'm assuming that I don't practice with it heavily. So I don't want to go like looking for the dot, wiggling the gun around. If there's a weekend shooting, I'm like, where's the dot? Looking around. It's not going to be fun.
All right. Yeah. What about you, Mr. Matt?
So it'd have to be a 9mm minor division no matter what. So that rules out.
All right. So why do you say that?
Yeah.
Readily available factory ammo.
Because you weren't reloading when you started, right?
I like the first 2 years I shot factory ammo.
So that's a while.
And I don't think it's,
That's a while. That's quite a while.
Yeah. And
okay.
I just never did. Like I didn't shoot that much. Then I was literally only like shooting matches, like local matches, like once a month. And I think that's what a lot of people start out as.
Of course.
So it would have to be a 9mm minor division. So that's basically limited minor if you're not worried about being competitive, production, or carry optics. Like limited minor has a lot of interesting choices because you don't have to worry about 10 rounds in your gun.
No, but
you don't have to buy as many magazines.
No, Matt. What would you shoot though? Would you shoot limited minor? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just explaining it all out.
Yeah.
I'd shoot production or carry optics.
Why wouldn't you shoot limited minor?
Because you're not competitive in it.
Exactly. So you'd be like, fuck that. That's dumb.
Yeah. I mean, maybe one match and then be like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
Like carry optics and production are the two things. Like,
yeah, no, I'm in the same boat. So
I don't know. I think
I'm going to shoot a gun I can buy over the counter.
Yep, 100%.
That's what I did. I want to look at it and buy the gun. Buy a gun over the counter, and it would be a gun that I think is cool at the time. When I started, it was a Beretta.
Like no matter like shooting USPSA had no effect on that.
Yeah, I didn't give a fuck about that. It was like I want it to be a gun that I think is cool at the time. Like it's going to be a full size service pistol. It's going to be 9mm. Right, because that's cheap and convenient, which means it's going to be production or carry optics. I just wouldn't shoot limited minor because like why would I go into this thing handicapped, especially when I didn't know anything. Like nowadays, I could go win a club match shooting limited minor, but like who gives a shit? Like I would want to, I want to be I want to be very competitive in whatever I'm in. So that means it's going to be carry optics or production. And then knowing me and my personality, with the dots on carry optics, that's another relatively expensive component to fuck around with. I don't know. I would probably read online a little bit and just see how many issues and breakages there are with those sites, and it would kind of push me. It would push me away from it. I would get pushed toward production in that way. So I have a difficult time imagining a scenario where I don't end up starting in production. I just don't see what that would be. I mean, what actual gun I shoot would maybe change, but production seems like the place that I would get pushed into starting. Just for exactly the stuff you guys are talking about. It's the factory 9mm ammunition. Like that's the big thing.
Yeah, yep. I agree 100%. I didn't reload for the first quite a while. I was just shooting white box, 115 grain. So yeah, a gun I can buy from a store, or something, even if it's a boutique gun, something easy to work on, or that I have somebody to work on for me. Easy ammunition to get. And then the other thing, like if I could tell a younger version or a new starting version of myself, is if you can shoot that Beretta 92, that SP01 Shadow, whatever, well, then you can shoot any gun well. And starting out with, starting out with a really light triggered 1911, 2011 open gun, I think some people are successful with those guns, but the guns having a light trigger, maybe a red dot, compensates for or masks some inefficiencies in their shooting that maybe they wouldn't discover until they use a more basic gun, if that's an easy way to say it.
Yeah.
So Ben, I'll put you on the spot, if you shoot a stock Glock well, you can probably shoot about anything well. Is that fair to say?
I mean, probably.
But if you gave the guy that has a really fancy limited or open gun with a super light trigger the stock Glock, he probably can't shoot the stock Glock. Maybe he can, but I would say it's a lesser chance of that person being able to shoot any gun.
I don't. There's being able to shoot a relatively stock gun well it's a pretty rare skill in USPSA. Quite honestly, people get really fussy about their gear and they get weird about it, and they can't kind of adapt to suboptimal gear very well.
And I think just using a factory gun is very good for your shooting.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to hurt. You're right. If you can learn to shoot that like a stock gun well, it's gonna help. It's gonna help everything. For sure. Wow. See, well, I wonder if the guy got what he wanted to out of that answer. We want to do one more, and I would say
that's good.
Maybe this is not a super interesting question, but this is just the type of questions we get. I have a question related to the organization of cardboard dry fire scale targets. How do you keep your cache of scale dry fire targets organized? Okay.
What?
Well, already I'm just kind of raising my hand I do not do this. Right. I have multiple shoe boxes full of different size poppers, round plates, metric classic scale targets, many that I've painted on various black hardcover swabs. I try to rubber band small stacks of the same size targets, but the tension leaves the targets warped or creased. How do you organize and store your collection of dry fire targets? Do you have any advice to help with storage organization, different types of scale targets? I'm probably overthinking it, but I wonder if there might be a better way than shoe boxes full of cardboard cutouts. Well,
mine get used. They don't sit in storage, unfortunately. So there's.
Well, I have a lot, but I don't have mine in separate shoe boxes. I just have a really big U-Haul moving box that all my targets just kind of exist in, and they're not organized in any way, shape, or form. So what this guy's talking about sounds like a pretty good idea, I'm like, oh shit, put them in.
No, this sounds like that he has to put his targets up every time he dry fires,
and maybe he's using a common area where he can't leave all of his training stuff out all the time.
Exactly. That's what I get from this call.
So what are you saying? He needs to slap his wife around? It's nah, leave the targets up.
I didn't say nothing about that.
Didn't say that at all.
It sounded like what you were saying though, Matt.
That's what I heard Joel say.
Actually, that was Matt. Matt's so angry all the time.
Which is not polite.
I think my setup is very efficient. So I have a big barrel and I have a big grocery bag. So anything that's not attached to something, it's just regular scaled targets, go to the bag. And I have these attached one. I have real size or scale size. I use this target stick to just staple onto it. So anything that's stapled on the wood stick, I would just put it in the barrel. So all I need to do is just grab out of the barrel and then just place it against the wall or target stand. It takes very little time to set it up and down.
Wow, that's a good idea, man.
Yeah, I'm stapling in the front and the back. So one side is partial target, the other side is open target.
Whoa!
That's nice.
That's pretty
good,
smart.
Why didn't you say we're all just like organizing targets? This sounds. Look at you. Of course you're organized. I'm impressed.
Thank you.
No, I'm scattered all over my upstairs and my basement, and I have a drawer in my one of my reloading benches full of them too. That it's just that way they kind of all migrate to one spot if I'm not using them, but I don't do anything special for storing them.
Oh, well, there we go. Well, gentlemen, I feel like that's enough questions for the evening. How do you feel?
I think it was a bang up podcast.
Well, that's obvious. Well, all right, listeners, if you have any questions you'd like the answer to, go to benstecker.com. Send me your question. Do you have any business stuff going on, guys? No?
No.
Do we have to announce different things? No, we don't. Exactly. Perfect. So then I just click stop recording.
Hey, and Matt's computer made it the whole time.
So I think I figured it out. If I put pressure on one side of this thing, like the fan stops, and it just fucking freaks out. I'm
Matt,
dead serious, dude.
This is not a long-term solution, sir.
No,
No, not at all. Like,
Hey, this is
work for the next 3 months. It should be fine.
no, I'm gonna like tell my IT guy this thing's a piece of shit and tell him.